James Gunn's Superman was my most anticipated film of 2025. Not because I've adored the recent output of comic book films, more so because I love Gunn's comic book films, like the Suicide Squad and his Guardians trilogy. The past 10 years I've been disappointed with DC's output, and I couldn't wait for him to do something unique and different. And on that front he succeeded. Superman feels like a comic book come to life. It's forged from the very best stories about the Man of Steel, such as Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman and Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Gunn presents what I can only say is the definitive Superman story that has ever been put on the big screen, scrapping the slow origin story for a high-stakes, electric film. Superman is about hope, truth, and justice, more so than any other film adaptation of the character has seen before. The real heart of it, though, is its cast. David Corenswet simply is Superman. He's campy, loving, and feels like a larger-than-life hero. Though we don't see too much of him as Clark Kent, what we do get still feels true to the character. I suspect that as this DCU project moves along, people will talk of Corenswet and Superman as they do of one Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, unable to separate character from actor. Corenswet is supported by the great performance of Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, and Gunn's heartfelt screenplay brings out the very best of the two. Their on-screen chemistry is absolutely palpable. However, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor was the real surprise to me. The film's marketing never truly sold me on him as the villain, but I'm so thankful to be proven wrong. Luthor in this film feels much like another famous DC villain in The Joker. He's a man filled with so much hate for the hero opposite him, fated to fight him over and over. He drives the film's stakes, and at times, I often found myself packed with my own hatred towards his evil actions. There are several other characters and performances in this film that I loved, though with that comes criticism, as at times the film felt oversaturated, with far too many characters and plot lines. That being said, Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern, Anthony Carrigan's Metamorpho, Eddie Gathegy's Mr. Terrific, and Crypto the Superdog were all favourites of mine. Where this movie shines, though, is its humanity. The character of Superman is a symbol of heroism and belief. He's not an all-powerful god, as some more recent adaptations have portrayed. He rather feels like just another human, though one who is blessed with superpowers. A metahuman, as the DCU will seemingly be referring to these beings as. This in fact ties into the story's main contention. Is Superman one of us, or an otherworldly immigrant not to be trusted? This isn't the only modern-day political turmoil that Gunn depicts in this movie. A war between two fictional nations, which can only be viewed as an allegory for today's crisis in the Middle East, takes up much of the plot. One of these nations is Jahanpur, which strongly mirrors Palestine, and with their people's strong support of Superman, Gunn asserts his film to be read strongly as a pro-Palestinian anti-Zionist tale. This is seen both praise and criticism from both sides of the political spectrum. Superhero films are often known to play it safe and never really have more to say than very surface level things, and so personally I really admire Gunn for putting this in his film, showcasing to audiences that superhero films can be unique and have things to say, especially in today's climate. I also need to take a moment to talk about the film's music. John Murphy and David Fleming's score is incredible. It doesn't just use John Williams' old stuff, instead it mixes it in with a brand new sound, giving Superman his own new, unique, original theme. There's a bunch of other great music in this. I especially love the one titled Pocket Universe. Gunn is also known for his needle drops, and while Superman contains a very limited amount, choosing to focus on that original score. The ones it does include, set to Noah and the Whale's 5 Years' Time, and Teddy Bears featuring Iggy Pop's Punk Rocker, are so good that it makes up for this. It's not without its faults though. Its editing didn't sit right with me at times, with unnatural jump cuts and fade to blacks that were supposed to include title cards that were ultimately scrapped feeling awkward and overdone not even 45 minutes in. Some of cinematographer Henry Braham's visuals were breathtaking. One particular near the end involving Superman and a mountain of dust absolutely stunned me. However, some of the film's look suffered from what I believe was the case of a 3D release. Some CGI close-ups just looked awkward, and I can't say I was wowed by teeth flying towards the camera. But I think the major thing I found trouble with was the lack of subtext in the third act. I'm all for the film's pro-immigrant theming. In fact, this is an integral part of who Superman is, and the film depicts it perfectly for the first 2/3. But even as someone who loves Gunn's writing, and seriously, I do, some stuff in this rivals that of Rocket Raccoon's moments in Guardians 3, even I couldn't dispute that the dialogue became quite forced towards the end. Most of this refers to a specific scene in the third act involving Superman and Lex Luthor, in which the former gives a speech that didn't feel so much like the character than it did the script. I feel as though if this scene's dialogue had been tweaked a bit more, I wouldn't have this complaint, but watching it, it was the only moment I truly felt disengaged with. Still, Superman is a fantastic start to the DCU. I was originally worried about the slate of films to start Gunn and Peter Safran's new world, but now I cannot wait to sink my teeth into Supergirl and Clayface. The pair needed a strong start for this to work, and I believe they got it. 4 stars out of 5.
So that was that. I've only seen Superman once so far, and I do want to go give it another look. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe.